Hello, everybody. Welcome to Catfish Weekly, episode 50. As you can see, Lyle's coughing up a storm. Chuck's probably not feeling good. Leanne probably not feeling good. I'm all right, but I'm probably going to be there not before too long. We all got done fishing that winter on Wheeler in the monsoon out there, raining most of the time. A little bit cold some of them days, but we got home and then we got to realize what cold really was. Um, But yeah, that's what tonight's episode is about. We're going to talk the winner on Wheeler tournament. Basically, what we did, how we did, how other people did, and we're going to talk about the future of that tournament, some ideas to help Daniel in case he make it a little better for next year. Lots of different things, but mostly about that tournament. Um, Also, the intro that we're working on, I expect that to be done by next week. So I want to have that done next week, and everybody's going to be able to hear that new intro and have that ready. So hold me to it. I'm going to have it on there. But so I'm going to start with you, Chuck. How did you go about finding the fish when you first started? Where were you looking for? What'd you end up looking at? Where were you finding them at?
Um, I just, in my boat, I wasn't going to go too far. So I just, went up around the beginning of the elk and just some bluffs up around there. I went across the big water, um, and, fished the south side of the lake a little bit. I marked some good fish in a few places, and we didn't fish those spots, but we caught a couple of fish out of those spots pre-fishing, but we backed off of them. And then, on tournament day, we didn't get to fish any of the spots that we were wanting to fish. The swells were just too big, and we would get on those spots, and we just couldn't stay on them. We was dragging anchor when we tried to anchor, and um, our rod tips were bouncing so bad when we would try to, do some controlled, spot lock. And so we just went over to the south side of the lake to where the swells wasn't that big, and tried to find some fresh fish and places that we hadn't fished yet, and just couldn't get on any.
Now, are you pretty familiar with Wheeler, or do you only fish it every once in a while? Or what's your familiarity level with that lake?
That's the second time I've ever been up that far up on the lake, and I've fished around the Browns Ferry area twice, and most time I just fished the low end down below Gunnersville Dam, uh, down there where Phil Brown and them went. I
That's
never,
like that's considered the river section of Wheeler, right?
yeah. Well, about half of it is pretty much considered the river section. It's 60 miles long,
Yeah.
and pretty much 30 miles of it you can consider skinny water, um, and then the other 30 miles you can consider lake. So I'm pretty much used to fishing the lower, I'd say 10 miles. I don't really go that far. When I go down there below the dam, I just fish around the bluffs and right there below the dam and stuff like that. I mostly when I lake fish, I mostly go into Gunnersville.
So during your pre-fishing, um, was you noticing fish at a certain depth or a certain area more than others? And what was it? What was like the water temperature, water clarity?
Yeah, the water was pretty stained. Um, Coming out of the elk, it was probably more stained than what was coming down the main channel. But we was trying to fish a little deep, around 55, 60 foot in some spots, and the small fish were just tearing our bait apart. As soon as we would put it out there, they would just chew the meat right off the ribs. You just pull a rib cage. Um, we found most of the good fish that we marked in the 50 pounder that Leanne caught. They were around 40, 45 feet. The water
Okay.
temp, the water temp was around you know, 48, 49 degrees somewhere in there.
Yeah. Lyle, did you get to do much pre-fishing, and was you marking anything or looking at anything in specific in depths for your pre-fishing?
Well, to start with, we got down there Tuesday night, got up Wednesday morning. I was sicker than a dog. We didn't go out at all Wednesday and didn't get out till afternoon Thursday, about the time as soon as I got the feeling like getting on the boat. So we done a little looking around Wednesday, and then we spent the majority of Thursday looking around. We did actually fish a little bit Thursday, but not too much. But we marked some great fish in several areas. We thought we had a good game plan, and maybe or maybe not, it would have worked out if conditions for us had been better Saturday morning. But again, like Chuck said, 49 degrees is basically where I was at on water temperature, and we found fish everywhere from 25 to 45 feet of water. We found them in concentrations on humps. We found them on structure out in the main part of the river. And what I'm seeing, when they're talking about current down there, I assume they're talking about undercurrent. I never seen any surface current anywhere. And again, this is one of the things that I always complain about lake fishing. There's no current in them, and I realize that what they had now is undercurrent, because I would actually see the whatever undercurrent there was actually take our baits back behind the boat, but the surface stuff, things would be floating around. It just kind of floated around your boat. It didn't really go anyplace. And now I guess that's the dam drawing that water out from underneath of it. But there's a lot of fish in there. There's a lot of good fish in there. There's some giants caught down there last weekend, not just one or two. There was a lot of good fish down in there. But yeah, we found a lot of good fish, and had things worked out a little bit better for us, we probably would have had a little better success. But when a day starts out like it did for us Saturday morning, ours continually got worse all day. So at that point, we knew we was going to be in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, I myself, I fished with Brian and Denise, with Brian and Denise Competitive Catfishing out of Ohio. They invited me along with them, and I accepted, and we met up, and we got down Wednesday night as well. We ended up staying in a hotel Wednesday night and getting out early in the morning on Thursday. Thursday we went up around Browns Ferry. There's basically some underwater boils that raise the water temp up a few degrees past what the normal lake temp is. We also looked around some other places, just sort of scouting and trying to get our game plan together. When we went to the Browns Ferry on the boils, we anchored up on one. There was pretty much all the other boils were anchored up on, or they were either spot locked on them, and they were basically vertical jigging. And I don't know if they were doing that for just whatever bit, because I watched a couple guys pull in blue cats. They caught a drum. It looked like a few kind of fish. I mean, they just were sitting on the one spot, vertical jigging the whole time, or using their trolling motor to sort of circle that boil. But when we were scoping out the lake, we noticed for the most part that we're looking at about 49-degree water temperature on Thursday. In the areas that we decided to fish, we were looking at most of our fish concentrated about the 40-foot mark at that 49-degree water temp, and where we were looking and marking a lot of good fish. We sat up, one of the first spots that we sat up on, we marked a lot of fish all around it, and then within about 20 minutes, I caught my new personal best. It was a 66-pound, 10-ounce or so blue cat. Great fish, pretty much immediately made my trip worth it. I mean, that was beat my personal best by 3 pounds. So as soon as I caught that fish, we pulled all the lines out of the water. We didn't want to wear that hole out. We didn't want anybody to see us there. We wanted to get away from it pretty much as quick as possible, and add that to the game plan. That was we've seen a lot of other big arches on the depth finder, and we thought that the game plan was going to be pretty good and pretty solid with that area for what we were looking at on there. And so after that, we decided, for the next day for pre-fishing on Friday, that we weren't, we pretty much put our game plan together. We all three decided that, we was gonna, none of us had been on that lake before. We didn't know it on that section or anything, so it was a gamble, but to 100% commit to the game plan, feel confident in it, and just see how it worked out for us. So we decided we were going to completely leave the area, and we decided to go up in that river section, and we're 50 miles away from where the spot was that we were fishing probably. Took a beautiful drive through the mountains down there to get up there and up down there, whatever way it is down there, I don't remember, but we got we launched out there below Gunnersville. They had all the dams open there, so I mean there was a ton of water pushing through that area. And and that second day pre-fishing, we caught some fish. We caught a flathead. We caught some blues in 15, 25 pound range. Had a good time. That area, I absolutely love the area down there around the Gunnersville Dam. It's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful down there. Actually, the whole lake is beautiful, but I really more so up around that dam, up on them big rock bank bluffs, and but yeah, we had a good time there, and then I believe we left from there on Friday to go hit that meeting. Where we got to meet a lot of guys that are fans of the show and stuff. We've never got to meet in person before. I got a list of everybody, but we did it again. All right.
All right.
Yeah, I just yanked the cord out of my ear. But yeah, just before we get on any of that, I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody know a little bit about the tournament. The winter on Wheeler, they're going to try to have that as an annual event. This was the first one. And by the way, I see we got 31 people online. That's on the chat. That's absolutely great. That's awesome. That's the most we've ever had on there. I hope we can keep growing this, by the way. If you guys got any questions or anything about this tournament, feel free to ask us. We'll try to give you the best answer we can. But there was, I believe, 41 boats that signed up, and about 9 of them backed out due to either not wanting to fish the weather that day, or the weather that they had going back home. They wanted to beat it home and be safe. Which is something that they might have to look at. It might be a problem on some years, and some others it might not be. So. Jason was saying, "Yeah, I'm getting Wheeler was fun. I've only been down there once before, and I had a great time. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to go back down." But yeah, out of the 32 teams that decided to stay and fish the tournament, 24 of them weighed in fish, and 9 teams were at 100 pounds or better. So that's a pretty good 100-pound plus weigh-in on out of almost half of the teams weighing in on a 100-pound basket.
That's on 5 fish.
Yep. But I mean, there was quite a few. I mean, I would say out of those 24 teams, I don't know how many of them. I'd have to go through and look at them, but I'd guess there was 8 fish or so that were over 40 pounds, if not more than that, weighed in.
Bank had to cull a 40.
Yeah, and that's, for me, Indiana boy up here, in the Ohio River, you don't see that. I mean, we never see that anymore. That 60, 80 pounds can win a tournament on the Ohio River around here sometimes.
And we got the the 3 under 34 also,
Yep.
So
Yeah, you have to keep that in mind too. So these people, they're throwing in nine. They got 9 fish or 5 fish in a basket with 100 pounds, and they're only able to keep two over 34 inches. So they might be throwing back 40 and 50s. And I know there was guys down there that had, pre-fishing had 300 plus pounds in the boat in a day. Um, also, of of mention, but a couple days before the pre-fishing and stuff, I guess Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember what day it was exactly. Good friend of Lyle's, John Nordyke, was down there with um, Jason Bridges and caught a 105-pound blue cat, and I'm sure all you guys on Facebook seen a picture of that fish. That's a 105-pound blue. That's the one where now I talked to John. I said now your whole goal is just starting to try to break state records. You got to have something to keep you going because you go to a 105-pounder, you got to keep the interest going. And he was all about that. He's like, yeah, I guess that's what I got to do then.
Well, John was all smiles. He called me right after they caught that fish. I was actually, Cindy and I was getting ready to go to the store, finish loading stuff up before we took off. And that's as excited as I've seen John in a long time. And, of course, I talked to him on the phone and Jason both. They was both just ecstatic that they couldn't hardly believe that. I may lose my voice for this over. Couldn't believe that they caught that fish. They'd only been on the water 15 minutes, and I guess Jason had cast that that bait out by a piece of structure, and it sat there just a few minutes. And he told John that he thought he hit the structure when he throwed it out there. And he might be a little close, and he reached up there and gave about 2 or 3 cranks on the reel, and he set back down. Before he got set down, the rod was already bent over, and they didn't realize at the time how big the fish was. But when it got about halfway up, they seen a bunch of bubbles come up, and Jason told John, he said, that may be a little bit bigger fish than we thought. And I guess the whole fight lasted about 10 minutes, and I couldn't be happier for John and Jason both as far as that goes. But John really puts his time in. He invests whatever he has to do to be competitive, and in the very short amount of time, I'm going to say 3 or 4 years, he's become very successful. And that was a guided trip, but still he had to be able to put the fish in the boat without any assistance, and he got that done. And not ever catching a 100-pound fish, just to be able to get it in without losing it is a feat all in itself. So I'm very happy for John and Jason, and it couldn't happen to a better guy. And then he turned around and backed it up Saturday with a 3rd place finish, a 70 and a 45, or something to that neighborhood, and some smaller fish. So they had a really good stay down at Wheeler, and I'm very happy for him.
I'd have to imagine that a 90 to 100-pound fish will up that failure rate on a knot or on a line somewhere, a small nick or something. I mean, everything has to be perfect in order for the hook. A hook has to be sharp to get into it all the way through the lip. I mean, there's a lot that can go wrong, especially I think as they get bigger like that. I bet them fish are smart too. I bet they have, I know I reeled in one fish that I told them, I said, this fish must have been caught by a lot of bass fishermen, because I swear he opened his mouth the whole time pulling him back. And I mean, it made him feel so much bigger than he actually was. And most fish, you get them in the boat, they sit there and they clamp down. They're just lockjawed. They don't want you to get your hook out of there, nothing. This fish, even sitting on the floor, was just wide mouthed on me, and I was, that's I don't know if that's like just something that some of them do, but them big fish, they that can easily you can easily lose something like that. So
they had made the statement that fish had been caught before. They could see marks on it where it had been caught and released before. But Claude Reynolds reminded me that he was over at our room that John had said that he was going to retire, but that was a joke, and I know Claude realizes that. But you catch 100-pound fish, and John had made the statement down there that night that all of us sitting around that he had nothing else to work for, but that's not true, as you could tell. Saturday when he went out and got his third place finish, and he's a very competitive guy, as was his two partners that he had with him, and them guys. John will be looking for a 106 next, or something better. He's not going to just lay over and call it good because he got a triple-digit fish. He'll be looking for something a little bit better. But, them guys had a great time down there. They worked really hard at marking fish and looking fish, and they was like you. They stayed out, and Chuck had a little top thing on his, but there was a lot of guys out there, and you and John, some of them that sat out in them boats with no kind of protection, and now Saturday it was pretty rough. Them conditions was pretty bad. We had a lot of issues that day, and I was fighting them issues in that storm, but just to sit out in a boat for 8 hours with it pouring down rain and wind blowing 30-plus mile an hour, to sit out there without any kind of protection at all, that takes dedication from people, and I'm glad nobody got hurt, and I'm glad that everybody had a good time.
Yeah, I wanted Daniel wanted to let everybody know there was 32 teams from 11 states that showed up for this tournament. And I know from all of us at Catfish Weekly and probably a lot of other people, we want to thank Daniel Parsons and his wife Casey. Don't forget her. She was out there busting her butt helping out as well too. But thank you to both of them for putting the tournament on. There's a lot of people that, myself included, that you got a long time where they haven't been on the water because they're getting Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything's going on, and they don't get a chance to get out and do any fishing, or they're up north and it's too cold and they don't want to be out fishing. So it's a great excuse to get down there and get on a great body of water, get on some good fish, and just be fishing. And the cabins that we all stayed at, they're not even really cabins. It's Joe Wheeler State Park, and they've got their houses. They're 2 to 4 bedroom houses, and they're very reasonably priced. $75, $85, something like that for some of them, up to like $110 a night. And they're right off the lake. I mean, that you walk off the back porch on some of them and throw a rod and probably hit the water, and you're about 40 or 60 feet high off of them, but you don't want to be trying to jump down or anything. But yeah, I wanted to let you guys know that. Josh Thompson, he came from what was it, like a state or two away on his own dime to help out there. Chuck?
Do I now?
I said that Josh Thompson, he came from, where was it again, on his own dime to help out with that?
Yeah, he lives down here by me. He lives close to the Gadsden area. Yeah, he traveled about the same distance I did. It was about 2.5 hour drive. He paid for a hotel room out of his own pocket for 2 nights. To help with this tournament. So.
Yeah, we all thank Josh. It was nice meeting him. Good kid. He's definitely looks up to Chuck and hopes to be out there fishing. Hope maybe next year, the year after, he's going to be somebody to look out for, and he's getting his feet wet and helping out running the tournaments. And I told him, that's how you do it if you're going to ever get into it and maybe even run tournaments and it's get to meet the people and talking to them and everything and feel comfortable. So it was awesome that he came and helped out with that.
He's already handled more big fish in one day than I have in my whole life. He showed up, and Daniel had 3 other guys that were supposed to have showed up and helped, that he felt pretty confident about them showing up. So right off the bat, he was 3 people short. So he would have had 5 guys out there, and it really ended up only being 2 with Casey, running things from the table. So they did a really good job for, you know, two guys running around doing what they were doing.
Yeah. Um, I have to give a special shout out. They're in the chat tonight, but Ryan Moran and Claude Reynolds, um, Team Parkside Marine, them guys there, they hooked me up. Can't say that our fish came off of their bait, but they gave me the freshest skipjack you could have down there. And for somebody to give up some stuff like that at a tournament like that, that's good people. You know, those are the people that, you know, if I'm there, if I'm at a tournament and I have something, I'm going to help them out. You know, they've helped me out, I'll help them out. Uh, People that have your back like that, it can be hard to find sometimes. So really, from me and Brian and Denise, we all three of us, thank you very, very much. I told you that, you know, I'd give you a shout out on here, and I definitely, I did that, and I really do appreciate it. And you know, I had good talks with him, and I love that boat that he has. Ryan has that Crestliner Intruder 2200. That's an awesome boat, and he said that even in his boat, he was having some waves crash up over that boat, and that's a big old 22-foot deep V boat. So that gives you an idea of what kind of conditions that lake was in when we were out there fishing.
Well, you know, Claude had come over. They was actually in the cabin right behind us, and he'd come over and visited with us a couple of times on a couple of different occasions, and we really enjoyed having him over there. And John and Rusty and Aaron was there with Cindy and I, and Claude had come over, and another night. Uh, Josh Mays like to scared the crap out of us when he come beating on the door telling us he was the police. We was all sitting there. He hit the door so hard I thought he broke the glass in it. And him and Jim Gillenwater and Phil Brown come over to our cabin and stood there and visited with us for an hour or more. And you know, that's the kind of stuff that makes the trip so enjoyable, especially if you're having a bad time, but the good times as well. But we enjoy that aspect of going to these things and fishing in tournaments as much as anything, and them guys coming over just makes a very wonderful evening for it. And you know, we sit around and have a few drinks and carry on and tell stories and lies and talk about everything else, and it just makes the trip very enjoyable for me and Cindy especially. And there was others, you know, I can't remember everybody that showed up over there. There ain't, I'm not going to lie about it because I just can't remember everybody that showed it up at our cabin. And the dinner was very enjoyable. I even got to sit beside the winning people. You know, Janet and Bink was there, and I got my picture taken with Janet before she was the winner of the event. So she's just a hoot, and old Bink, you know, I understand he had a little malfunction there after the weigh-in, but you know, I cannot imagine. I can't, you know, I want everybody wants to win, and I like to see everybody win when they do, but Janet and Bink Fox are two of the greatest people in this sport, and I think that it's great that they happen to hit the season off with such a good start, and looking forward for great things from them this year. They're just really, really, really good people, and they're so much fun to be around, and you know, you just can't ask for anybody better than that.
Yeah, Janet and Bink were in my cabin. It was Janet and Bink, Vince and RJ, Brian and Denise, and myself. And you know, we all, you know, talked and stuff, and we're in Alabama, and they've got Alabama college football against Ohio State, and I told them, I said, I think I'm going to need to, you know, it's all them Ohio people and me, I'm a little Indiana boy sitting in there, and I felt like them Alabama people were going to be coming up in there and taking them out in their sleep after they beat them in that college game. So, you know, but yeah.
Well, to top it off, Vince wears that Ohio State T-shirt.
Yeah, all over the place.
Friday night out to dinner, it's a wonder they hadn't have. Yeah, I don't know. I like to dad, but I seen him walk in with that.
So Chuck, let's move on to tournament day. tournament day, you go out. What are you looking at? What are you seeing? What's changed? And what happened during tournament day?
Well, when I came out of the slough and headed to go upriver, I seen the swells were going to, you know, really rough. Um, I still had my game plan where I was going to run up and try those 2 holes, but by the time I got up there, um, people was already sitting on them. Uh, just by crossing over the big water, it was pretty rough. I couldn't get up to about 15 mile an hour max, and I was pounding my hull pretty hard on the rollers, just trying to get over there. After I got across the lake, we just fished around the calm side over there. There's a small channel that goes down that far bank that's around 38 foot deep, I believe, 40 in some spots. But um, I didn't mark any fish on it the previous days, and there wasn't any over there that day. But we tried some. We marked some structure and tried to fish the structure that we marked, and we just didn't do any good. Um, we went on down by that industrial plant. The closer we got to it, the bigger the swells got, because we started getting into the pipeline of that wind. So we got over to on that far bank to where the main channel hit that bank, um, and fished right there on that main channel, and we tried to anchor up, and we was dragging all 40 pounds of the anchor at 2 mile an hour trying to catch a hole, and I had 150 foot of rope out on each 20-pound anchor, and I couldn't get nothing to hold. We was still moving 1.7 to 2 mile an hour trying to get the anchors to grab. We I just went back up, and I tried to spot lock on some anchor that's on some stuff, some structure that we found up there, and the whole time my trolling motor was running, on 3.5 to 4 speed out of 10, just trying to stay on spot. So it was a little rough. Our rod tips bouncing. Was hoping we'd get lucky and get something, but it wasn't in our favor. With them big swells out there.
You caught you caught one fish, or?
Yeah, Leanne got him over on that calm rock bluff over on the south end of the big water, right across from the elk.
Yeah, and Cad was asking. Most people that I heard of, they were not dragging, they were not drifting. A lot of people were anchored up, from what I've heard from talking to people. As far as size of hook, myself, I was using 10-aught Charlie Browns and 8-aught Team Catfish double actions. Yourself, Chuck, what kind of hooks were you using? And I was using about 6 ounces weight.
Yeah, I was using 8 ounces of weight. Trying to, even when I was vertical fishing, just trying to keep my rod tips from bouncing as bad. And I was using number 10 Eagle Claw sea circles. And I stayed with big bait all day. I wasn't going to downsize and just try to get a few little fish in the boat. I was still trying to hit some nice big structure. The matter of fact, the 5-pound fish that Leanne caught hit a whole skipjack head. Had the whole head stuffed in its mouth. We don't know how he got it in there, but when I had to get the head back out of its mouth to be able to get the hook out, and he gulped that whole head. That whole head was stuffed in his mouth. So I wasn't going to downsize. We had a lot of fish just still chewing the meat off, and I could have downsized. I may have missed some big fish because I didn't downsize, but I was going to go big or go home broke. So
You're like me. I cannot stand to downsize. I go there with one thing in mind. That's kind of I don't want to do it. I normally don't do it.
I mean, how you gonna downsize a skipjack head? You know, pop an eyeball out and put the eyeball on the hook.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's about all we could do. Um, if you're gonna fish out of the type of boat we fish out of, you just got to sacrifice. And when these type of tournaments come along, you just got to invest and try to get a different hull boat, or just put up with those conditions and do the best you can. But I'm just gonna stick with what I got and be the underdog, and hopefully one day I'll pull one of these things off.
Yeah. So, Lyle, tournament
Yes.
day comes. What happened out there for you? I
Well,
know a little bit, but go ahead.
well, we got down there, and like I said, we had a plan. We really thought we was in good shape, and Cindy backed me into the water, and she backed me in a little deep, and the boat floated off of the trailer, which is all fine and good. I hit the key, and it broke off in my hand, and I'm floating away from the dock, won't start, can't get a hold of nothing, can't find the remote for my trolling motor, and some guy pushed me up there. And I'm sorry, fellas, I can't remember y'all's name. A lot of you I just met for the first time, but a gentleman was kind enough to push me up next to the dock, and I'm trying to search around and find something to start it. And another guy give me a sort of a mini multi-tool. It had a little screwdriver on it, and sure enough, it would slide in beside the key, and I could get the boat started.
So he gave away the tool. He gave away the tool that Chuck gave you.
Right, and it may have been, and
It was.
he give me that, and we finally got loaded up and thought we had everything to where we could at least make it work. And we went down, and we decided we was going to go to a spot that we had marked fish, but had not really fished it at all, and that would give everybody time to get onto their spots and get away from us, and maybe the water wouldn't be so rough. And we set up on this spot, and of course the fish was still there, and we're there fishing. This monsoon hit, and we decided we was going to move. I go to start the thing up. I go to start it up, and when I went to shut it off, the screwdriver didn't get all the way shut off, and my battery's dead. So I had brought a couple pieces of live bait down. They was in my live well. The aerator had been running for a week, and that battery was dead. So, amidst all this rain and water coming over the front of the boat, I crawled up in the front and popped the latch up and changed out the battery that's up there that's dedicated to my light system. And I went back and put it back in the back, and like to drown. Got that all done, and then got the boat fired up, and we'd looked around a little bit, and it was so bad that we decided that with as much crap that was going on, all the trouble we was having, we was going to go in, and we was going down the chute there to the ramp, and I got a phone call, and it was Rusty, and he said, have you got any fish? And I said, no. He said, well, you need to get out here where we're at. We're catching fish. Of course, I ain't got a clue where they're at. I don't have any idea. And at that time, they had a 70 or thereabouts in the boat and a 40, and I said, did it clear up any over there? He said, yeah, it's not whitecap anymore, and it had cleared up in the thing. So we turned around, went back out, never did find where they was talking about, went to a couple spots where we had been, and, rain just pouring. And even at the top, we didn't put the sides on it, blowing sideways in on us and everything. And them Fraybill suits, I will hand it to them. If you wear them and you tighten everything down on the arms and the neck and the down the legs, they will keep you dry. They work very well and they're warm. But we just couldn't get the fish to go. We was on fish, we just couldn't make them bite, and the ones that did try to bite was mashing off the big baits that we was using, and I assume they was juvenile fish that we really wasn't trying to catch. But at the point, it wouldn't have made no difference. Anything would have beat what we had, and we was a little discouraged about the fact that we had so much trouble. But that's fishing, and that's the way it goes. We'll have to go back down there and try it again. I know there's a lot of big fish in there, and I do want to give Ken Cargill a shout out. He went a long way Friday and put a ton of big fish in the boat. Ken was really on them. He didn't do so well during the tournament, but Friday he laid out some big numbers, and that's outstanding. Brett Riddle put a lot of good fish in the boat. Craig Shoemate put a lot of good fish in his partner. I can't remember his name. There was a lot of 70s, 80s put in the boat in a couple of days. There was a few 90s put in the boat pre-fishing for this tournament. So that is an outstanding fishery. Personally, I'd like to see them have dams like the rivers got up here and just open them up and let the current rip so I can adjust myself to it. But that's never going to happen. I'm either going to have to figure out how to fish lakes or just quit fishing them. I don't really like them, but I guess to be competitive, you're going to have to do something. Maybe I need to go down fishing bridges a while. I'm pretty sure that he knows how to do it.
Well, that was 10 boats didn't catch anything, and there was some good blue cat guys that came in, especially some local guys that only had around 50 pounds, which isn't really good for them, and they were really down about it. But
Well,
I mean, that's just when your plan don't come together and the weather hit like it was. Some people was just in the right place, had the boats to handle it, and a lot of people, everything just came together. And who would have thought that a 76-pound blue cat would release Bink into the lake?
Well, and that's right. And one of the other things to bear in mind is when you have a field like they had down there of some of the top catfishermen in the United States, on any given day, any team down there could have won that tournament. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Janet and Big. They done an outstanding job, but it could have been any one of them teams down there. Everybody down there has the quality about them to have a good day, and any given day, any one of them could win a tournament there or anywhere else. It just didn't happen to be some of them's day, and we just happened to be one of them that it wasn't, and that's okay. Like I say, we got out of there safe. We was very happy about that. With everything that went wrong, we had a wonderful time, and looking forward to the next one.
Hey, Lyle, Claude asked you if you still had the key. I don't know if he's got an idea for you to be able to fix it or what.
Well, the key is still broke off in the ignition. It's was 6 degrees, and I got up this morning. I ain't felt like going out there to try to dig it off, but I do have the other part of it, and the piece that the gentleman gave me, I found him and give it back to him and thanked him several times. Probably not near enough for what he done for me, because if it hadn't been for him, we'd have been sitting in the at the ramp all day, and we wouldn't have got to go out and go. There was one other thing that I wanted to say about this. If I remember correctly, at the dinner Friday night, Daniel had told me there was 41 teams that was entered. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And 32 actually fished it?
Yeah, so that's why I said 9 teams left, either because of the weather that was there or the weather that they'd have to deal with driving home. So. And
I know some of them guys, there was predicted in our area and north of here, a lot of snow and bad weather coming in, and I don't know what everybody got when we got home. It was butt rape and cold, but we didn't get any snow or anything. But I hope everybody made it home all right. And we was disappointed that some of them guys left. But fellas, if you think about that, you got to consider the safety factor. And if you're going to get 6 inches of snow, pulling a boat trailer going 9, 10, 12 hours to get home, by the time you drive that far, you're wore out. Something could happen. So maybe they done the right thing.
And not to mention that, depending on where some people live, Brian and Denise told me if they get just a little bit of snow, out in the open, and the wind drifts and the wind and the snow drifts and everything like that, and the lack of plow, it can be absolutely impossible to get your boat back home in the right situations, and it might not even take as much as you would think.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's better to be that safe than sorry. And,
did anybody hear if any of the 8 boats that did not weigh in? There was 24 boats that weighed fish. I think 32 boats launched. Did any of them just not make it back in time? Did you hear anybody that didn't make it back in time, or did everybody
No.
just not catch fish the other eight? Do you know?
They either didn't have what they wanted to weigh in and didn't do them back, or they didn't catch anything. But I didn't hear of anybody not making the time.
Yeah, because I talked to Phil. He said they had like 10 minutes to spare. Um, so that was close. If just you
Jason
know
and Steve.
anything could happen. 10 minutes is nothing.
Lyle, he wants to know how cold it was again.
Colder than a witch's tit.
No, that's not what you said the first time.
Butt raping
Butt
cold.
raping cold.
That
Sorry,
Mapina
Chuck.
is cool, ain't it? Yeah, Paul Strauss.
Paul says, yeah, he said one boat was late.
I believe that was Ken Cargill, and he told me that he only caught one 10-pound fish after being all them giants the day before, and they didn't care if they weighed that fish or not. In fact, I'm not even sure they brought it back to the ramp.
Yeah, and I mean that's everybody has their opinion on the sore mouthing. I think once a fish is caught, it's going to be at least a couple, 2, 3 days before that fish eats again. I think the stress of pulling a fish in a boat and grabbing it and giving it a kiss and hugging on it and smiling and cheesing, taking a picture with him and putting him back in the water and holding him by his jaw or whatever. I think that he's probably like I ain't about this stuff for a little while now.
Yeah.
I don't believe that for a minute. Like I say, we've caught them, put them in a live well, and they ate all of our bait up, so they eat
Well, you're
right.
wrong. I'm right. You're wrong.
Well, maybe so. I just don't believe it is, and I really think that you could catch that fish and put him in the water, and if he's in the right spot and you throw that bait in front of him, he'll take it the next day.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that can, besides trailering and having things happen on the road that could keep you from getting back, out of your control. They was like early in the year, there was a tournament on Pickwick. I believe it was a Bass Pro tournament. You could fish Pickwick or Wilson Lake, and some guys were late. Had some good fish, and they couldn't get through the lock. So it's just
Paul said they won't eat longer if they see me. Hey, that ain't very nice, Paul. Hey, you don't know I've got a secret fish call. I can make them come in the boat. I can do my fish call.
You ain't doing the dance that Jason
Lyle, Janet agrees with me, and Janet beat you. So there you go.
I don't care what either one of you say. I've seen them eat the bait and had to go catch more, so I don't believe it. But
all right.
Regardless, I know a lot of people feel both ways, and there may be some merit to it. I don't know. But like I say, when you watch them eat all your bait and you gotta go catch more, it makes you tend to believe that it doesn't affect them as bad as a lot of people think. And I know guys like the Massengills. They told us when they was on here that they don't pre-fish. They basically electronic fish and look for stuff. So everybody has an opinion on how that works, but like I say, after seeing them eat them, it's hard for me to believe that it would bother them too much.
Yeah, Vince said he managed to go to Wheeler and catch a 5-pound channel cat. That's pretty good.
He said what? He managed to go there and catch 5. I didn't know there's a 5-pound fish in there.
Yeah.
We was using stuff that big for bait.
A little bit about, for us on tournament day, myself, Brian, Denise, we trailered to our area. We got down there. I'm getting messages on different stuff too, but anyway, we get down to we get to our game planned area. We start looking. Water temp on tournament day jumped about, I want to say it went from 49 to 53. weather temp had jumped a little bit. I think it was in the 60s, right around 60, 62, which made that water temp come up a little bit. And that 40 foot that we were marking our fish in before seemed to have moved up into about 37 to 35 feet in that range. I mean, that's in the area that we had marked before. That's what we noticed. So we fished all the area where we were marking all the bait fish and all the fish that we were marking before, and I mean we marked some giant arches. I mean lots of them, and it was what we seen before. And I mean we seen some stuff on the bottom, and really the exact same stuff that we seen before when I caught the 66. And we moved around. We stayed in, and our game plan was to really just hit that general area hard. And we did. I mean, in a 300-yard area, we moved around that for the entire day. Um, they just really weren't eating like they were before, and I don't know if it was the front that came through was a different front, or it did something to the barometric pressure or what it was, but it just seemed like uh, they didn't even start biting until later on in the day, near the end. I mean, near the end in the last couple hours is when we really started catching some fish. We caught a couple small fish to begin with, and we threw them back, thinking that we were really going to tear them up, like the way we were doing, a couple days before, and um, it didn't really start working out. I almost, wanted to kick myself for throwing one of the fish back because I wanted to have 5 fish. But we ended up with 5 fish. Our 2 big ones were like 17 pounds, 16 pounds, and then we had some other ones. And I think we had 41 pounds total. We ended up in 16th place out of the 24. Not horrible for never being out there. I mean, like I said, we had 40 something pounds. We caught fish, a little better than halfway mark. So. Or right at halfway mark actually. But Brian or Bink and Janet, they ended up winning that tournament, 151.9 pounds. Janet Fox got her personal best, a 76.2-pound blue cat. So congratulations to her. Brian, Denise, and I stayed to fish Sunday for a little while, and we decided to hit the same exact area where I caught the 66 and where we fished tournament day, just to see what would kind of happen. And sure enough, we catch a 44-pounder for Denise to get her new personal best. She went from 20 to a 44. We caught a bunch of fish that were probably in that 20-pound range, so we would have definitely done a little better. I mean, our game plan was right on. The fish were there. They just weren't eating like they were the day before and the day after the tournament, of course. But congratulations to Denise. You got your new personal best, 41 pounds. I got my new personal best, 66 pounds. Awesome trip. I really enjoyed you guys letting me tag along with you and fishing with you, and hopefully we get to do it again. Couple things I want to hit real quick. Some of the people that were there and came up and said hello to us, and the people that are supporting. I'm not going to name everybody's name, but this is just a few people that we've never met before, or are doing a lot for catfishing. Paul Strouth, Cad Daly, and his son Case, Chris Parker, Seth McAllister, and his girlfriend Laura Kane. They were out there doing that live feed through the whole show. I know it probably wasn't the greatest to watch with nothing but a bunch of rollers and wind and rain, and probably not catching huge fish or whatever, but at least he was out there doing something. So I'm sure that there was a few people that appreciated that, Seth. I know I logged on when I was out on the lake. I logged onto it and watched it for a few minutes when I wasn't doing anything. Craig Shoemate, R.J. Giles, he was in the cabin with me. He's a cool guy. Vince Nadowski, good old Nadowski. He was in the cabin with me. He's an all right guy, I guess. He's all right, He likes to order some food. What's that?
Really?
Well, I'm just being nice. Oh, Gary Turner showed up. Gary Turner, with the Gone Fishing Adventures, and he showed up and did a little bit of fishing, caught some fish, and it was good seeing him again. And I'm probably going to hopefully see him again here soon with a couple months here with Ron Streeter. We're going to go down on that trip, and Jason Malone, and hopefully I'll go down and fish with Gary on a guided trip that he gave. Yeah, and also there's a new segment that they wanted put on Catfish Weekly called "Damn It Fudd," and that was used quite a bit in the week that I was there. But besides Gary Turner, Rob Klopfelder and Ed, we went out and hung out with them, watched fights a little bit. Rob's awesome. I can't say anything else. Rob and Ed, they're just cool guys, and they're great for catfishing. Uh, Even though he gave the guy behind us, which is a Steelers fan, a hard time most of the night, and then blamed it on me. Thank you, Rob.
Good job.
Yeah. Brown catfishing with the winter circle, catfishing winter circle. Philip Brown there. He was down there. Got to meet him. Awesome that he was there and got to meet him and everything. Um, so yeah, thank you to everybody there. If I didn't get your name, I'm sorry. There's a lot of people that came up and introduced themselves, and it's really nice to get to know people, and the fact that you guys enjoy watching the show and you tell us and everything. It's awesome. Really is. Also, Paul Strauth had a question that he posted up on Catfish Weekly, I believe. His question is, how and what factors into your perception of a successful catfishing tournament? Is it the weather, the fishing, the lake? What is it that you guys would consider a tournament to be a success? So Chuck, if you want to answer that, you can go ahead and start off. And
You know, to me, it's getting there smoothly. Getting home, um, getting no flat tires. Meeting new people. Um, you know, everything being safe on the water. No damage to the boat. No broken transducer brackets. No broken props. Um, if I just spend a little bit of gas, the entry fee, and I come home, um, that's success for me. If I break a rod or a prop or a transducer bracket or have to buy a flat tire or something and spend extra money, I don't think that's a very successful tournament to me. But just by participating and meeting good guys and all that's successful. It's not all about winning, to me. It's going out having fun, having a chance to fish, um, and trying to learn as much as possible while I'm out there.
and we got 35 people on chat, and like I said that earlier on, that's you guys coming into chat and helping this show grow. Watching the show and everything. It's awesome. It really is. Lyle, what do you think about the makes a successful tournament?
I really think that if you have a good time and nobody gets hurt, uh, it is a success. Anytime that you go fishing, you're there to have fun, regardless. If you catch fish, that's a bonus. If you do good in a tournament, that's a bonus. We enjoy fishing. We enjoy winning as much as the next person, but we have a really good time with people coming over to the cabin and talking about fishing rods and talking about bait and how they fish and how we fish and discussing line and just the general aspects of being there. Like I say, Claude and Craig and his partner, and there was a multitude of others, Phil Brown and Josh Mays and Jim Gillenwater, and just numerous people come in and out of there, and some of them stayed for quite a while, and some of them was just in and out. And as it turned out, for me, that was the better part of the tournament than the multitude of problems that we had tournament day. But that's part of it, and we'll accept it. We'll get everything fixed, and we'll be at the next one, and hopefully things will go a little smoother. That's the first, ever since we bought that boat, that's really the first issues that we've had with it, so I really can't complain. It's been really good, and we'll get it fixed up, and it'll be ready to go. But to me, a safe trip down there and back, and enjoying everybody coming around and getting to see everybody that we hadn't seen in a while, and meeting some new people, and there was a multitude of people, and I really can't remember all their names, and I'm sorry about that, but I'm sorry, I just can't do it. But we met a lot of new people, and we talked about the show, and we talked about fishing, and to me, that makes it a great success.
Yeah, I guess I'm a gabber. I mean, I absolutely love it. I go and mingle with everybody, and I enjoy it. The meeting and the camaraderie, and just having a good time, and really I felt like this whole time went by because it was so nonstop. I mean, we were fishing in the boat, or we were talking to somebody. I mean, or we were eating, or it really went by too quick for me, and I was there for quite a few days, and like on Monsters on the Ohio, that's the problem, is that there's not enough hours in the day to be able to sit and talk to these guys and be able to get up early in the morning and fish, because I could do it, and I do it, sit out there until 2 or 3 in the morning just talking, and next thing you know, you got to get up in 3 hours. And just about every one of these tournaments, I'm pretty exhausted. And there'll be a few people that could tell you that when I'm exhausted and I fall asleep, supposedly I snore. This is rumor. I don't know. Now, I think it's all made up, But yeah, and I guess Case got a good kick out of hearing his name on there. Case was Cad's son, and he's a little boy that fishes with his dad, Cad Daly, out there from Tennessee. And Case, you keep fishing with your daddy, and you enjoy it, and you're going to take that on when you grow up and fish with your son. But you just keep trying to beat your dad and get the bigger fish than him. That's what you need to do. You tell your dad, I got the biggest fish today.
You was talking about snoring. Our cabin had 3 rooms in it. Cindy and I took one. John took one. And Rusty Stamper, and he brought a young gentleman with him that was 18 years old, very nice young man, and his name was Aaron. And they had twin beds in the other room, and they was talking about Rusty snoring the night they got there, Thursday night, or I believe it was Thursday night, and we was getting a kick out of it. Well, Saturday morning when we woke up and got out of bed, poor old Aaron, he couldn't handle it. He was actually laying on the couch sleeping, and that's the most uncomfortable couch I ever sat on. The rooms are very nice and they're very clean, and I didn't have an issue with it, but I tried to lay on that couch and watch television one time, and it lasted about 2 minutes, so I don't know how in the world that boy laid on that couch and slept, but he said the snoring was so bad that it woke him up, and he couldn't go back to sleep, and he tried to wake Rusty up so he'd go back to sleep, and he couldn't even get that done, so I kind of felt sorry for him,
Yeah, Brian and Denise, the first night when we stayed in the hotel room, we had one room, and their bed right next to my bed, and he said I probably died 6 times that night and came back to life. He said they were seriously thinking about smothering me in my sleep.
I might have stuck a sock in your mouth or something if that had been.
Hey, I've told everybody on the show and everything, I do snore, and I can go to sleep on a boat. I can go to sleep in a truck. I can go to sleep anywhere. I mean, and I'm the kind of person where I guess when I decide it's time to go to sleep, I put my head on a pillow and I'll be gone within a minute to 2 minutes. I mean, it's kind of funny, and sometimes it's not. I'm gonna have to get me that sleep apnea machine and start using that, I guess, when I go on trips, so I don't keep the whole neighborhood awake.
Them guys that, if you're relying on the oxygen or whatever that comes through that, the guys that have been in a room with you before is liable to pinch that off on you.
Not if they don't want to hear me snore. They'll do that, and then they'll be like, all right, never mind, sorry, let me fix this for you. But, yeah, for me, going back to the question there, what factors into a successful tournament? To be a well-ran tournament, to have safety in mind, have the rules be kept in order and followed. Again, I guess, just I would say the fishing really don't matter, but in all honesty, it does to an extent. I think that for it to be a successful tournament, to continue on and on again, I think, yeah, the first few tournaments or for a while, it might be uh, okay if it's just bad luck that the fishing is really bad, but if it's just a really bad fishery, I don't think it's gonna hold up as a successful tournament for a long period of time. Um, I mean, it might be held together and still be considered a success because people are showing up, but at some point, if you're never catching fish, it's really gonna wear on that tournament to me. But it ain't all about the fishing either. I really do, like I said, I really enjoy the just meeting the people and talking to people and going out to eat and hanging out or just having a beer and talking and talking about fishing and what we did that day and where we're going and what kind of bait we used and everything under the sun. The products that are out there. Um, I mean, that all plays into it. And this winter on Wheeler tournament, I had a great time. I meant to hit more cabins than I did, but I only hit a couple. I hit Rob Klopfelder's cabin a couple times, and most of the time that would be all I ended up hitting because we just, I grab a beer, sit there and talk to him and Ed, and um, I think Ken was there one night and a couple other people, and just sit there and talk about fishing and some of the gear and whatnot, and time flies by when you're doing that stuff, and it's enjoyable. Um, as far as what we have left to talk about, I do know that Scott Wiseman posted up that his Hoosier Whiskers Derby tournament is canceled. So, just so you know, if you're planning on going to that, you'll probably be there by yourself. So, don't. Um, the last thing I have is for ideas to improve this winter on Wheeler tournament. To give Daniel some ideas, some things to help him make the tournament run a little smoother or better for next year. I know this was his first year doing this tournament, so if we have some ideas or you guys have some ideas that were there in the chat, um, let us know. And I myself, um, I would say that one of the things that he should probably do is have the information out there a little better for the meeting. Like, is the meeting mandatory? Is it not mandatory? Maybe if you're going to have it at a place like the restaurant was nice, but they were seating like the people who weren't in the Catfish tournament in the area with us. If we could get the area sort of blocked off for us, so that way you could stand up and talk and go over the rules with everybody, let them know how many boats are in it, just a little more information that we could have would have made that a little better. Having rule sheets, I guess, printed out. That's just a couple of things, but honestly, you did a good job. I think that there's going to be little things, and as I think of them, I'll add them in there. And I've been to a lot of tournaments. These guys have been to a lot of tournaments. So we're not saying, if we're giving you suggestions, we're not saying you did a bad job at all. We're trying to make you give you ideas to possibly make it even better, and you can take the ideas for what you want.
Yeah, he didn't have any idea that many people was even going to come to the meet and greet, because he was asking, on the Alabama Catfish Trail post, only like 5 people said they were coming, with 2 and 3 people. So he was expecting about, 15 people just to come, um, and maybe some people stop by and go ahead and pay for the tournament. But he wasn't expecting that many people to show up for the meet and greet either, especially how many people showed up for the tournament. Even with him having it prepaid, and all that, um, he if he would have known how big this tournament really was going to be, he would have been more prepared for more things. But it kind of blindsided him a little bit when, at one point it looked like there was going to be close to 50 boats, um, until the weather around, Tuesday or Wednesday, when the weather, took a turn for its worse, and the forecast was standing strong, and a lot of guys went ahead and turned back and said, I'll do it again later. Um, it He's already got the date for next year. I'm pretty sure it's going to be on January 2nd, from what I understand. So the date's already out there. Um, so I think next year it's going to be over 50 very easy, and he'll be prepared for this one. He's really far in the red right now. Anybody who's done a trail, and he went and bought a real nice set of scales. They were around $1,200. Um, and what he took in from the tournament, I don't know how much of that, the 20% was, but the lie detector test was like, half of it. So he ended up, nothing went in his pocket out of this tournament here. He's just trying to build something real strong in Alabama, and hopefully, he'll get a little bit of money coming in from all of his trouble, which he very well deserves it. But when that next one comes around, he's going to be ready for it. And everybody's already got a year in advance to get ready, and it's going to be really big. And hopefully this coming year, every tournament I went to just about this year was a cold front. Anybody who went to the Monsters of Ohio seen what happened on that tournament. I mean, the worst possible day. And also on this tournament, on Saturday, it was probably about the worst possible day it could have been through the whole week. And what I'll do, I just won't show up, and y'all gonna have great weather. Because anytime I show up, there's gonna be a cold front following me. I guarantee you. Every time I go, there's a cold front. Yeah, hopefully next year, the weeks will get off to where the cold fronts will be on Wednesday instead of Saturday, and hopefully all year they'll be on Wednesday instead of Saturday all year.
Good luck with that.
No, Jason, a lie detector isn't really necessary, but since it was trailering and everything, a lot of people was frowning on it, and Daniel was wanting to make sure everybody was comfortable with the trailering part, and he wants to make sure that everybody knows that his trail is the real deal. It's not. He's went out. He's got the best insurance. He's got a lawyer if he needs it already. That he's got his LCC company, so the trail is a company now, and he just wants to he just wants everybody to know that his trail's the real deal. And some people felt uncomfortable about the trailering situation, so he made sure that there was going to be a lie detector test, so everybody would feel really comfortable about coming and fishing his tournament. He really didn't care about that money going out for that lie detector test. He was more worried about what people thought about his trail being a reputable trail, and he wants it to be, you know, a really great thing in the state of Alabama, and he's going to work really hard to make sure it is.
One of the other things that suggestion for him was, and I heard this from a few people, and it was more of the um, making sure, you know, on I guess just having a little more discrepancy on checking the links because there might have been some fish that were weighed in, uh, you know, that didn't need to be measured, you know, and some that didn't get measured and should have been measured. So figuring out a system to get that hammered out and you know ironed out there will probably help as well. Also, another thing I thought of was um, having like the people who trailered, the people who are trailering out, maybe the people who are even launching out, giving them some sort of a chip with a number on it or something, and making them turn that in and having that turned in before the cutoff time. For a couple reasons, this will also, just in case somebody was to not even show up at the launch site and just be out somewhere else ready to take off and fish and just show up at the weigh-in, you know, that could be done, and there's
Yeah,
things like that.
that's a, you know, the sticker that that Aaron put on our boat at Monster when he checked the live well.
Yep.
Yeah, that, you know, that's a good idea, Fudd. You know, when he checked that live well, he slapped that sticker on there, and that meant that your boat went down that hill, and you know, you launched at that site, and everything was checked. So yeah, I'll see your point there, and you know, I'll bring that up to him also.
You have any other ideas, Chuck or Lyle, or anybody in chat?
Well, you know, all in all, this was the first big tournament that I understand that Daniel has had, and I thought he'd done a really good job. I do agree if you can afford to do lie detector tests, they are far from being foolproof. If they was foolproof, they'd be admissible in court. There is a high percentage of people that can pass those regardless. But it's the best thing we have for any tournament series that anywhere. They're the best that is offered to keep things from cheating. The only other way that you can cut cheating in half is to not allow trailering. That is the number one time that it gets done. I don't, you know, it's a fact. It's just the way it is. We've tried it, didn't work out. There's been a lot of animosity about that over the last few years, and they all say, well, the big guys do it. Well, you know, I have had numerous phone calls at several of the tournament series when I wasn't at tournaments, people calling up, and they allow you to sit on these places 2 hours before the tournament takes off, and they're calling me laughing because they're fishing. I know for another guy that told me, and a very reputable, outstanding fisherman, a guy that fishes a lot of big tournaments, is extremely successful, has actually told me he pulled up to people that was fishing and said, hey, you know, you're not supposed to be fishing. Well, who's gonna make me quit? You know, and a lot of guys do that, and a lot of guys don't. There is a very, very high percentage of honest, reputable catfishermen. We all should be that way, but there's always going to be those ones that are not, and they have to be turned in. You've got to turn them in to make sure that it ends. Until that's done, or they figure out a 100% foolproof way to monitor it, it's going to happen.
Keep the sport honest.
Well, that's the only way you do. Take pictures, take videos. Everybody's got a phone that takes a picture. Everybody's got phones that takes video. Do your part.
And also, if let's say if Bank would have failed the lie detector test, it would have cost another lump sum to give second place a lie detector test that would have had to been taken for him to receive the first place money. So that would have been another lump sum, which that would have probably exceeded the 20% for this tournament.
Right. Well, there's several things about that, and you know, from what I understood, the guy charged him and what he done. He was about an hour too long doing it. From the guys that I've had affiliations with doing it, and about double what I could get them done for. But now we're talking about several states difference in the way they do them. Machines may be different, you know, I don't know. But I would look around and try to, you know, Missouri has a group of those listed on a website for everybody that does that, and their locations and phone numbers. And I would urge Daniel to check into that a little more. He'll have plenty of time to do it and to find someone that maybe he can get somebody to donate it. You know, some of the police departments have those machines, and you know, all them guys have to be trained. But like I say, there's a high percentage of people that are trained through their job to know how to pass those, so they are not foolproof, but they are the best that we have to monitor anything of that. I wish somebody come out with something that's 100% accurate, but there's not. They're just not. So you do the best you can with what you got. He done a really good job. I did hear some of the stuff about the measurement of the fish, and I know that he was shorthanded.
Yeah, if he can get some helpers,
yeah,
that
he'll
would make
get
that
a
a lot
handle
better.
on that. He'll get a handle on all that. He knows he'll have suggestions from not only us, but other people will comment and send him letters and messages and stuff. And I hope they tell him how good he done, and then say, okay, you know, here's my suggestion to make it better. And that, you know, I know Daniel is enough of a man that he can take that and grow from it. I still say for the first time he done a bang-up job. I'm very happy that things turned out the way they did for him. I'm glad that he considers it success and wants to do it again. I think he has a chance of making something really nice out of this, especially if the weather just wouldn't be quite so bad next time. I really thought there'd be 50 boats in this. I really did, and next year I anticipate there'll be at least that many. It was a really fun time for us.
I expected about 40 votes myself, and you know, like I said before, I definitely I'm not trying to make it like he didn't do a great job. I'm just this was just to help him, you know, for next year, the creative thinking process and everybody helping out and looking at spots that can be improved. I think he'll, you know, like you just said, it'll continue to grow and improve. Also, what'll help with, you know, being that it's an annual event, um, you know, with us being able to, and I believe he said he was going to advertise it for next year on Catfish Weekly and stuff, but the more that people know about it going to happen, they'll be able to plan in advance, put that jar aside with some money in it every now and again for that, you know, Winter on Wheeler tournament, and that'll grow it as well, along with, you know, I think I guarantee there'll be at least one or two wives that are like, you know, for Christmas, I got you that Winter on Wheeler entry fee there. And you got, you know, you can go fish it, and you know, I'll be at home waiting on you to come back with pictures of the big old fish and stuff. But yeah, I think that,
You know, that's what Cindy and I done. We didn't buy each other anything for Christmas. This was our Christmas present, was the trip down there and back. Uh, you know, was it the best trip I ever made? By far, it was not. But we still had a great time. We both considered it a success, and we had a good time. I mean, that's just the way it is.
yeah,
Yes,
so
for those tournaments in Alabama, uh, you can also go with a Department of Conservation, and you can get a form to fill out to where for that tournament only you can have 5 fish over 34 inches, all 5, just for that tournament. If it's catch and release over, yeah, the conservation people, you know, and I don't think Daniel is going to do any of that. But you know, it's possible in the state of Alabama that you can put in for, you know, where you can bring in 5 big fish for tournament reasons. It has been done. I really don't recommend it because it really 2 of them big wheeler fish with 3 really big kickers. You know, some of them can go 20, 22 pounds. I've seen a 25-pound flathead that was under 34. So you get, you know, that can really be a big live well full of fish.
Well, that's
But
exactly why we only do 3 fish limit, because you know, and I know there's some big fish down there, but I will revert to something that I've said many times. The Twisted Cat outdoor record on 3 fish is 195.2 pounds. Danny Southland done that a couple years ago. He throwed back 50s all day long. People from Iowa were calling me wanting to know what he's using for bait. But you put 3 fish like that in a live well, I don't care. Mine is 118 gallons, and I don't want 190, 200 pounds of fish in that live well. I'd be worried about keeping them alive. I don't care what the water temperature is.
Right.
So
That's why our regular trail, the regular Alabama catfish trail, we have 1 fish over 34 and 2 fish under. So if you come down and fish any other Alabama catfish trail event, that will be the creel for those tournaments. It'll be 1 fish over 34 and 2 kickers. So if you come to our Wilson tournament that Daniel's putting on Wilson, expect to only be able to keep 1 fish over 34 and 2 under. And that goes for all the other events that he's putting on this year. There's probably going to be here in the next couple of years a good 36-hour event that's going to be happening. We don't know the whole story with it yet, but I've never fished anything like that, and I think it'd be a whole lot of fun.
36 hours straight?
Yeah, you put in around 7 o'clock on a Friday night, and you fish till about 1 o'clock on Sunday. You're allowed to go pull up at marinas and eat. You can stay in your boat the whole time. And it's just just go out and fish. They had a tournament on the Sante Cooper and the 2005 national championship. I put a video on my page. It was a 36-hour event. But there's somebody I know that may be planning on putting one of those on pretty soon. So I plan on fishing. I've never fished an Ironman or anything like that, but I think that would be something really fun.
I don't want to keep that many big fish in my live well for 36 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some things they're going to have to consider for that.
Yeah, Jason, Daniel posted his tournament trail schedule on the Alabama Catfish Trail Facebook page, and I think he has also posted everything on the Alabama Catfish Trail website also. So the tournaments we're having, he's got it very spread out. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make all of them or not. I hope I can, but it looks like a couple of them's gonna be in conflict with some other tournaments I want to fish. But he's spreading them out and trying to get the word out in Alabama and trying to get catfish going on is what he's trying to do. So,
well, he's doing a good job.
Yeah. I think he's going to have. I can't remember. We're going to have a Wilson, a couple on the Coosa. I think one on the Warrior River where the state record blew. It's 120 pounds now. And on the Alabama River down towards Selma or somewhere, that's where the state record 80-pound flathead is from. It's a really good fishery, and I've never fished down there. And that just gives me a good reason to go fish places I've never fished, and I'm really getting into that right now, and I'm loving it.
All right, guys, we're running on an hour and a half now. I think it's about time to start cutting it down. So if you got a closing statement or anything there, Chuck, you can go ahead and.
Oh, I'm good. And I've said about really all I've had. I had a really good time this weekend, and all the new people that I met. Met some Facebook friends that I've been friends with on here for 2 and 3 years, and finally got to shake their hand, and that was great.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of guys that here live within just a few miles of me. Paul and Anthony, all these guys up around Tennessee and Virginia and stuff. I want to get up and try to fish Watts Bar and all that with them, and it's killing me not to get up there. That's a great fishery up in there, lower Tennessee. I just had a great time, and it was great seeing y'all again, and meeting new people and having a good time is what it's all about.
Yep. Lyle?
Well, I'd like to thank Daniel for everything he done to make this a successful tournament. I consider it a great success for from his part that he done, and all the people that showed up. Some of them went home without fishing a tournament. There's nothing you can do about that. He still done an outstanding job. He put together a really good time. We met a lot of good people. I have a friend of mine online that I built some stuff for, and he drove down on Friday and brought me some stuff that he wanted repaired and dropped it off. And he drove an hour and a half from Tennessee down to do that, and then turned around Saturday and brought his daughter and come back down to the show for weigh-in. And it was really good to see Matt Mays do that 2 days. It's a trip, and he was excited for everybody. He stood out there in his T-shirt and his little girl in the rain and watched the entire thing with all of us. And really, they had a pretty good crowd there as far as spectators, and I just think it went off pretty good. I see nothing wrong with that. There's one other thing that I want to touch on, and you and I talked about that today, and we're going to mention it on a show here. We decided to do a show and get back on this subject a little bit. I've been seeing a lot of posts where people are standing on each other for one reason or another, and boys, I want you to remember one thing in all your fussing and feuding, that every bit of that is detrimental to what we're trying to do to promote catfishing. So be very cautious that whose toe you step on, and I'm not trying to put anybody's name out there for any reason or the other. It's just that we want to make catfishing as good as we can without making it go the other way. So remember that when you make these posts. Some of them are in fun, some of them are in not. It's none of my business, really. I just hate to see it go backwards. We've all worked so hard to get it where it's at. It's headed in the right direction, and I would sure like to keep it going that way. So bear that in mind when you do these things. And I'm not the scolder. I'm not going to tell you to do something or not to do it. You're all grown people. You know what you're doing. Just remember where we've come from and how far we've been, and we want to keep going. That's it for me tonight.
Yeah, catching up on that just a second more. That's we're going to start doing our What's Up episode, basically our news of what's happened in the month at the end of every month. So at the end of this month of January, we'll probably talk a little bit more about that and a little more in depth. But yeah, we've come a long way, and we have a lot further way to go. And it doesn't matter if you're right, if you're wrong. Sometimes you have to think about other things than your own personal feelings and opinions. So really try to put yourself secondly, behind catfishing. Think about the sport in general. The drama, the joke, even if it's a joke in a public forum, in a public, eye, it might not be seen. And sometimes sarcasm, jokes, it doesn't come across in text. You have to remember that. Where you could be silly and being jokingly about it, someone else can read it and think it's the snottiest comment in the world. There's lots of that happens in computers and internet, and lots of it. And really just remember that everybody's a person. We're all passionate about the sport. Everybody's going to have different beliefs. I'm going to leave it at that. Like I said, we don't take sides. We're, of course, as a personal opinion on certain matters, we're going to have them, but really we have to try to stay out of that kind of stuff and just look at it objectively. But, think about the sport. Think about what you're able to put out there and have come back at you. So with that in mind, I know that since Janet and Bink won that tournament, they were definitely in my spot. But just next time, stay out of my spot, and we'll see you next Monday.